Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today I'll talk about the Atlas tree or strat that I'll be using for the first 1 to 3 days, which is all about progression. Not really racing progression, but more setting up your character to be something later down the line that you can farm a solid strat with. So from my perspective, there's really two overarching things that you need to consider this league that's different than some of the other leagues is. The first one, this seems to be a crafting league. And while we do know that there's a little bit of quantity in there on the mobs inside the map, most of the power is probably going to be also focused in those items. And usually when we're looking back, most of the crafting leagues were a little bit more harder to sustain. So that's the first thing to consider. You should definitely not neglect that. But the big thing that changed this league is that you can now have 3 Atlas trees saved at the same time. And this doesn't just make it more flexible to change trees, it also means that you can sort of waste your first 2. Usually when I make my first tree, I also think a little bit about where I'm going to go for later, because I don't want to spend like 50, 60 Orb of Unmakings early, and I kind of have to take certain hits here or there in terms of pathing. Not really anymore. I think the way it's going to play out is your first tree is going to be completely invested into map sustain and maybe a little bit of stuff like expedition or strongboxes to get some extra loot. But in general, you can throw everything into unlocking everything. So all the map nodes you want, you can zap around on the tree as you want, because afterwards, all you have to do is really take your second tree whenever that is unlocked, but it should be somewhere in the Atlas progression. You get your second tree, and now you can completely remake that from the ground up. Meanwhile, your first tree can just lay there dormant until you can later respec them and you have enough money. The third one is going to be your end game strat, where let's say you now have a good, well-geared character, and now you can actually clear legions efficiently or something like that, or you can juice or you MF or whatever. That is where your third tree is, and at that point you got the ball rolling, so you have more than enough money to respec your first 2 passive trees, and now you can use those for like complementary strats, or if you're rerolling a new character, just make a new strat. At least it makes sense for me, and that's probably how it's going to work out for me personally. But in terms of this strat right here, so I got some inspiration from Tuna. I watched Crouching Tuna's video on this. I watched Pox's video. I watched Milky's video, and I watched Snap's video. So all of those were a huge inspiration right here. I go different than almost all of them on some of the things, but we're going to talk about that in a second here. Okay, so the first thing, and a lot of people are doing this, is we're going to catch some of the Nico chants. Nico is mainly there to set up for Packed with Energy right here. So whenever you're going to have free voltaxic sulfide veins inside your map whenever there's Nico up, and you can actually get that to 100%, so it's now very reliable. What this gives you is up to 3 maximum LE resistance, 105% increased damage, and most importantly, 45% movement speed. I think that unless you have an aura bot, this is an absolute no-brainer personally. Even if your character is strong enough, even if you're playing like DD or something like that, and you don't necessarily need the character power or the defenses, the 45% movement speed are just incredible either way. Also, if you plan on using elemental flasks at all somewhere in mid-game, the +3 maximum res is even more effective. But either way, that's basically what we're doing. So our strat from here on out is basically just get up here as fast as possible to unwavering vision. Your maps cannot be modified by fragments. Doesn't really matter. We don't really need to. Scarabs cannot be found in your map. Now, this is a very controversial one. A lot of people think that is not worth it, and I agree later, but the way I see it play out early is there's 109 different scarabs, and almost none of them are going to be worth a lot because not that many people are going to look after it. And the most expensive ones are apparently hidden behind red maps anyways. So what's going to happen is you're going to have like 1 or maximum 2 of each of those 100 different scarabs. And are you actually going to sit there and sell them for 1 or 2 chaos, right? So even if you could argue you're going to lose a chaos here, a chaos there, are you actually willing to do that trade? Because you won't have bulk. I don't think so. And the upside of this node here is just incredible. It grants 20 Atlas passive points. Now you might say, well, pal, but you have to path up so much anyways. That's not really true, because along the way, we're going to pick up a lot of things over time. And in reality, it only really costs us 4 points to get there. So we're basically getting 60. Now, in terms of rushing to the top, I will make 2 exceptions on the way. The first one is Shaping the Mountains, which I will take. It's just too convenient to take right here, especially for early. And then I will take Packed with Energy, which at this point, you're going to have a total of 48% chance to get a Nico. So in every second map, you're getting all of that speed and damage and survivability. From what it seems like, the most controversial thing about this tree is that I'm not going for Kirac immediately, which might be a mistake. My personal experience, I never really needed Kirac in white maps. And at this point, we're still going to be in white maps. So that's why I'm going to use, I think, up to 26 points. At 26 points, I'm going to be up here at Unwavering Vision, at which point we're going to be in yellow maps, and then I can spec all of these at once because I'm going to get those 20 passive points. So I'm going to spec up here. In case you guys are wondering why I'm not going to the side or why I'm not pathing differently, it's mainly because I'm setting up for like 60, 70 points down the road. There's no real reason. And at this point, we would have to probably even use Orbs of Unmaking with how much we would have to respec. But yeah, at 26 points, you get up here. And now you get 20 points to play with. Well, okay, now that we've set it up, we might as well go for Kirac. So now we have 20 points at once. And we cannot just take Kirac, which is what I would have done if I wasn't pathing up here. I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I would have taken all the Kirac points, and then I would still be down here, and I couldn't really progress at all. What I'm going to do afterwards is I'm also going to take Expert Reconnaissance. This is already in preparation for red maps. In case you guys don't know, when it comes to Kirac missions, they fall off hard in red maps because you actually need corrupted maps to get completions on them. But if you're dropping some Vaal scouting reports, or you're buying, you can also buy them. I guess you don't have to take it, but I assume it's worth it because they're quite common among scouting reports. You're going to get corrupted maps, which helps you quite a bit. So that's already in preparation. Not necessarily what you have to do, but I think it's going to be pretty damn good. We're also going to take all of these nodes, all these 2%ers for Kirac. They are now extremely strong in combination with the scouting reports. After that, we also take Shaping the Worlds, which is very strong. And afterwards, we just pick up all of these small map nodes right here that give us more chance to get higher tiers. Just so you know, I'm only pathing through here to get to the nodes up top. We're not going to be doing anything with Fortune Favors the Brave. You don't really want to path from the top here, which you could, but I don't really see how back to basics would really give us anything other than make our maps harder, at least for now. But afterwards, we still have points to play with. So now we put all these points in, we still have points to play with, and these are now going to go into Nico chance. So we had 48%, we're getting another 24 here, and then we're filling out these nodes right here. That is another 16%. For a total of 88. There is no more base chance to get Nico, so it is actually 88, not 88 plus 8. Now, you could also go up here and grab the rest of it. These are 8 each, but in reality, we would only need 12. I didn't really feel like it was necessary. If I'm not going to get a Nico 1 out of 10 maps, fine for me personally, but it's definitely something you can do. Instead, what I do is now I'm going to fill out the rest of the Kirac nodes and the scouting report nodes. These all give you 2% chance for Kirac mission, and then you also get another 20% scouting report chance. I'm not 100% sure if these are worth it, but like I said, this is a throwaway tree that I can respec way later. I'm going to have 2 more trees that I can play with, so I might as well invest everything I can into sustain. After I got those very convenient nodes, I will make a little bit of a detour into Strongboxes. Strongboxes are more XP, also a little bit of extra loot, and they will also give us maps occasionally. After I got the +1 Strongbox, one big buff to Strongboxes as well is that you actually see them now, especially the ones that you're spawning. When you were kind of progressing throughout the Atlas, you wouldn't really go everywhere, so you wouldn't really see where to go. But if you saw that if you just went a little bit to the left, you can get a Strongbox, you probably would, right? It's probably still worth it. But now you can actually know that. You don't have to, like in some layouts, just waste your box, right? And after that, I'm actually going to grab mining byproducts. Since we now have 88% chance to get a Nico in a map, whenever you get sulfide, you get 10% of that as azurite, and you can vendor that towards your resonators, and those resonators you can then sell for profit. So depending on how expensive they are, that could be all the way from 2 to 5 chaos per map just from clicking on them, which I think is worth a detour for a little bit of passive income. That being said, if everybody does it, maybe they're going to be really cheap, and then just don't take these points. In that case, they probably suck. Afterwards, I'll definitely get tamper-proof because it makes all the Strongboxes rare, which means more mods on them, and I don't have to do anything. Now, important to know, at this point, you should be freeze immune. I saw that Underground Sea is a tier 10, so if you get the freeze immune from your Pantheon, that's where you want to get it. Otherwise, you're going to die to these Strongboxes. I guess maybe if you have Dream Fragments or still your Wanderlusts from leveling, sure, but otherwise, or your Trickster. And then you might as well take those 2 points for the secret compartments to have a little bit extra chance. I think in total, people are a little bit overrated, like overrating some of these small nodes, in my personal opinion, when they could just get more mobs in your map, which also gives you more XP and also more natural map drops. Now, after that is done, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the other side. At this point, if your map sustain is fine, you can just leave it at that and go into Expedition immediately or whatever you want to farm. Also, a good one is Jun early. Jun is a ton of XP. Jun is a really good way to get your first Veiled Crafts and all of that. But in general, I just don't want to take the time. I know it's probably efficient. I just don't really like doing it. I just want to blast. And the only way to do that is by progressing. And so I am going to invest into both down here Planet Technician with another batch of small nodes for Kirac missions. As well as that, I'm also going to go for Shaping the Skies. Now, if I'm going to eat my words and it's actually easy to sustain maps, you can basically ignore that and go to Expedition once again to something else immediately, but that's just what I'm going to do. Next up, I will go into Expedition. That is just me. You don't have to do that, but I think Expedition is incredibly good on League Start, and we get a ton of chance here. 8 into 12 into 12 into 20% chance. After we have that, we're also going to go with the Extreme Archaeology Keystone. Be warned, if your build has a lot of mods that can brick them, this will be kind of a problem. Now, it's not a problem that you sometimes get bricked. That's very normal with Extreme Archaeology. But if it's too often, something is wrong. For me, at this point, the only thing that really bricks me is immune to lightning, because I'm not critting at this point. I'm still EO, and everything else should kind of be solvable. But I don't think Expedition is unplayable without Extreme Archaeology, but it's definitely something you would want. Then I go for Ancient Writings and Distinguished Demolitionist, and we're pathing through the bottom because the bottom has more chance to contain expeditions. After that, we're going through here. We're pathing through the top because this has another 16% chance, and we're getting Buried Knowledge. And the only thing left to grab is then on the right side, we get both the % chance to get 2-gen and the % chance to get Danik. And the only thing that can really stop us from getting into tier 16s then with expeditions is maybe character power at this point, depending on how much currency I have. So I also put this right here at the end because Ancient Decay, expedition monsters spawn with 20% life missing, actually makes expeditions just so much easier. But that's up to you. Maybe I'm not even going to spec it. Maybe I'm not going to need it. Just something to think about. And that's about all I know for now. I am not willing to gamble on telling you what to do next, simply because I don't even know how much those scarabs are priced at. Some of them might be completely outpriced by MFers or by groups that are just buying them up. So telling you some, like, I don't know, elaborate endgame strat just doesn't make any sense for me personally. But I definitely do know that at this point you will want to unspec Out of Unwavering Vision, and I'm pretty sure that's going to contain making a new Atlas passive tree actually. So we're going to start completely from scratch, and that's after that we're just kind of gonna see how rare are certain scarabs, how good are they, how good are some of the new interactions, especially looking into destructive play. Looks very interesting with something like the extra Conqueror chance that got buffed from 30 to 100%. It looks quite interesting with Thorough Exploration, although this will need quite a strong character because because these wisps on map bosses is no joke. But yeah, that's about it. That's how I will start. Personally, I'll put this link in the description in case you guys want to follow along. In general, whenever you're watching this, in a few hours, it is going to be go time. I cannot wait. I will be on twitch.tv/Palsteron round about 3 to maybe 2 hours before. We're going to plan everything out before. We're going to look at the POBs again. And yeah, we're just going to absolutely blast. I cannot wait to explore this league. And with that being said, since I still have a slogan, see you next time.